Sir, this is perfect, sir.
Okay.
There is a flower, sir. I don't know if it is on purpose.
Purpose nahi ho. I don't know. There some background something has come up.
Sir, it's looking nice. Different style altogether.
Okay. I become a female now.
Okay, sir. Absolutely perfect.
All right, guys, let's begin. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to the 809th meeting of South Delhi Toastmasters. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Before we begin this meeting, there are a few ground rules. Let's take 10 seconds to put our mobile phones on silent mode. Please unmute yourself only when it's your chance to speak. Keep a pen and paper handy to note down your learnings from this meeting. At Toastmasters, we do not talk about religion, sex, or politics. Hence, it is recommended that we do not talk about it in an offensive manner. Now, let us kickstart this meeting by acting our presiding officer onto the stage. So please help me welcome Toastmaster Arushi as the presiding officer. Over to Toastmaster Arushi.
Thank you, Mayank. It's so good to have you in our meeting after such a long time. Now, drawing inspiration from the theme today, we are the champions. I want to quote and also bring to everyone's attention the words of wisdom by one of my favorite authors and speakers, Simon Sinek. He is my favorite person. Videos are something everybody should watch here and get your daily dose of motivation. Say a champion, it equates to a leader, a champion, and who else to think about when it comes to leadership than the man himself, Simon Sinek. And two lessons that I learned from him, and I still think and ponder over them every day. And I'd like to share that with all of you today. So the first one is, sometimes you are the problem. So always look inwards. And how beautifully he explained that to everybody. So he said, in the 18th century, there was something called purple fever all across Europe, which also spread to America. Now, what happened as part of this disease is women, after giving birth, were dying within 48 hours. And this got worse over and over, many years. And a lot of medical practitioners started finding out the reason as to what is happening. Why are women dying after giving birth within 48 hours? And then, there was a wise man who actually understood that all these medical practitioners were actually conducting autopsies in the morning on the women who'd already died. And then in the afternoon, they would go and deliver babies. Simple thing which was missed by everybody. They were not washing their hands. And that led to so many people. And the man who found this out was criticized and people laughed over him because the simple solution was to wash hands. He was ignored, but 30 years later, it was deduced that that was actually the reason. So sometimes, instead of going outwards and trying to find a reason outside, look inwards. You could be the problem. Another thing which I, of course, learned from this very wise man was that some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. And of course, he illustrated this by a beautiful story. He said that he and his friend were running after a marathon, and later, there was a free bagel place. And, he told his friends, let's get a bagel. And he said, no, there's a long line and I don't want to stand in that line. Then he went on to say, but free bagel. And then, he said that some people see the thing that they want. He wanted the bagel. He actually cut in between two people, just went and grabbed the bagel. And the other man just found a reason to not get it, because all one person saw was a free bagel and the other person saw was a huge line to get to the bagel. So if you want to be a champion, do look inwards and do look at your goal. So that's what I learned from this wise man, which I wanted to share with all of you. Now, there is another important thing, of course, which reminds me when I talk about champions, and that is the upcoming EC elections. Now, a very champion person of our club has been reaching out to all of you. He is none other than Toastmaster Abu Shadab, who is the Chief Election Officer. So I would request and urge all of you to either speak to him or any of the current EC members to know more about what goes into that particular EC position and why you should contest for the upcoming elections. With that, I would now like to hand over the stage to the TMOD of the day.
Thank you, Presiding Officer Arushi. So let's crack open tonight's theme. Okay. It's not what you achieve, it's what you overcome that defines your career. So this is the question for all the 16 members present here, including guests. How many of you saw last week's World 20 Championship final? Even if you didn't, but still you heard about it through various platforms after the fact. So yes, and the interesting thing is that the team which won the championship, though the two teams who entered the finals were teams who were anyways going to win it for the first time. So whoever would have won it would have won that for the first time, and in the context of what happened in the entire tournament, both teams were deserving. But in this case, Australia went on to win its first 20-over championship final. Yes, it's a complicated thing. That's how cricket works, right? And the interesting thing is that they were the last team expected to win. No one, that is experts or former players, even saw them as winning the particular tournament. They were maybe at number 5 in the list of teams. So England, our neighboring country Pakistan, India, and to some extent West Indies were supposed to be the number 1 contenders to win. New Zealand and Australia were at number 5 and number 6 in the line of winning the tournament, and that's what surprised everyone. And that's what this particular song, this particular theme song defines what they did. Now, this is the theme song from the movie Rocky. Those who have seen the movie Rocky, I'm sure most of us were not even born when that movie came, but you must have seen it at some point in time. And it's only fiction, but the message was that you can come from anywhere to win. And the interesting part is that Australia were what one calls in sports an underdog, that you're not expected to win at all, and that's what made it even more romantic, the entire tournament. And these are the statistics. They won their maiden T20 championship. That's the first point. It was the 6th cricket championship overall. So they had won in 87. There also they were the surprise winners in 99, 2003, 2007, 2015, and then 2021. And that's what was the most beautiful thing about this entire tournament. And that's why, for me, sports is a tough teacher. It can teach you a lot. It can teach you the art of patience, that you have to play the waiting game sometimes when people don't put you on the pedestal. It can teach you the art of observation, that without uttering a word, you just observe what's happening and then just perform up to your utmost level. It can teach the art of breaking free from the shackles. And then it can also teach you to shut the noise from outside. And it's not only a thing that we learn in sports, it's something that we also learn in other allied professions. But now, enough of the theme, we'll talk about it more. Let's, for the benefit of newer members and guests, understand what is the structure of the meeting tonight. We have three sections: prepared speeches, where three speakers will come and give a speech based on their respective objectives. We have the table topic section, where guests and other members can participate when you be given a topic on the spot. The art of improvisation, which is also a part of sport, where you have to improvise at the given moment. And then the general evaluation section, where the GE and the team of evaluators will give helpful evaluations, which is also in sports, where after the match the coach and your senior players give you evaluation as to what can you improve. So let's call our coach slash mentor slash GE, Toastmaster Abu, to talk about the evaluation section.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Aditya. It's always so nice you going always out of your way to go ahead and give such a fresh element to the topic. Thank you so much. I strongly believe in the phrase that we are the champions. Before I go ahead and introduce my team, I have a question for all of you. In an operation theater, okay, let's understand, as Arushi spoke about an operation, autopsy and everything. In an operation theater, who is the most important person?
The person who gives anesthesia.
Anesthesia, okay. Who else?
A doctor.
A doctor,
Surgeon.
thank you. Surgeon, thank you.
I think patient.
Patient. I was also with the belief that, in the operation theater, the most important person should be a surgeon. Or like, in this movie, when it comes to Indian cricket team, the most important person should be, as of now, Rohit Sharma. Or if a movie is there, the most important person should be the actor. Only to realize that what we see is just 10%. What you don't see is the entire team. If you do not have nurse, if you do not have other staff members, a successful operation can never happen. So what is very important to understand is together we can achieve so more. I'm so proud that I've got such amazing team members. So today I go ahead and present you some amazing team members who will go ahead and explain their role. The first and foremost, we have the person who is doing the timer role for the first time, okay? She deserves like this kind of a thumbs up, okay? And it is no other than Timer Varsha. Timer Varsha, can you please come?
I'll just share my screen first. Okay, hello everybody. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay, so today I will be the timer. As the role of a timer, I would be writing down times for the formal speeches, evaluations, and table topic section. So I want to brief a bit about how the time is going to be evaluated. First, let me show you the cards that will be shown at when I will be notifying each member while they were speaking. This is the green card. This would be the yellow card, and this is the red card. Okay, now coming to the section here, what we're gonna do is the speaker today, TM Sunil is the icebreaker, has his icebreakers in speech. So he will be timed for 4 to 6 minutes. I will be showing a green card at 4, a yellow at 5, and a red card at 6 minutes. TM Utkarsh has his normal speech, so it will be a green card will be showed at 5, a yellow will be showed at 6, and a red would be showed at 7. And TM Samir has a different objective, so his speech will be running for 10 to 12 minutes. Afterwards, we have our evaluators. Evaluators would be timed for 2 to 3 minutes. A green card would be shown at 2, a yellow would be shown at 2.5, and a red would be shown at 3. Also, we have our auxiliary role players who would be evaluated for 2 to 3 minutes. I'm sorry, this is not correctly written, but a green would be shown at 2, a yellow would be shown at 2.5, and a red would be shown at 3. That is all for my introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Varsha. You have done an amazing job. Trust me, the job of a timer is not easy, my friend. Very good. Thank you so much. The next person is a very important person. Do you know, originally it was not called umbrella. Do you know what was it originally called? It was not called, it was originally never called umbrella. What was its original name?
Umbrella.
Umbrella. Yes, thank you. It was the person who invented umbrella. He had ah and he said ah and it became umbrella. So today we have the R counter. The R counter for today is Bharat. We'll give a unique welcome to him. We'll go ahead and do this for Bharat, okay? So can we go ahead and give this particular gesture? Toastmaster Bharat, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Abu. Greetings, my fellow Toastmasters and guests. The purpose of the R counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for the overused words, including and, will, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for the filler sounds, including I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or a phrase, such as I, this means, etc. At the end of the meeting, I'll report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. This is my first time doing so, and I think I'm actually, not good. I'm not doing very good because I forgot that I have to use be a counter for the people who have spoken till now. But I'm trying to keep up. So thank you so much, and back to you, Abu.
Thank you, Bharat. Bharat, you are doing an awesome job, my friend. Doing it for the first time and you are nailing the job. So great job on that. Now we have a grammarian. Our grammarian happens to be the youngest person after me. So after me, the youngest person is Sandra. Sandra, the virtual stage is all yours, dear.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abu. So, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. I am the grammarian for today's meeting. So, it's my duty as a grammarian, it's my duty to share the word and the idiom of the day. And I encourage everyone to use the word and the idiom of the day in the meeting, please.
Thank you, Sandra. Sandra, would you be kind enough to give the word?
Yeah, I'm just sharing it. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So the word of the day is gamble, which means to run or jump about playfully. And example is the watching the children gambol with their new puppies really lifted up my spirits. So this is the word of the day, and the idiom of the day is give it a whirl, means which means give it a try. For example, I am absolutely terrified for skydiving, but I think once in my life I will give it a try. I will give it a whirl. Over to you, Toastmaster Abu.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sandra. I'm sure you certainly can do that. You have this courage, which is always appreciated. And I have personally witnessed your journey. So great job. Nice thing you gamble. And when I say gamble, I'm not talking about that gamble. It's gamble. Okay. Great. Yeah. Now we have somebody very amazing. Now this person is the kind of effort that he has put in throughout the week is just outstanding. Okay. So before we introduce this person, he deserves this salute. May I call the listener Toastmaster Pandi with a salute.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abu, the general evaluator. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am Toastmaster Pandi. Listening well can help you to understand other people's attitude and motivation, which is essential in building cooperative and productive relationship. For improving listening skills, you all have today me as a listener. I'm going to ask you a few questions from the prepared speech segment after completion of the speech. So listen, I request each and everyone to pay attention and listen carefully. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster Abu, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, IC Pandi. That was amazing. Great. Now I go ahead and call our rocking Toastmaster of the day, that is Aditya, to take over the virtual stage. Aditya, the virtual stage is all yours. I'll come towards the end to share my report.
Yes, thank you, Toastmaster Abu. So it's time to get into the prepared speeches section. And before we go further, when the team wins a championship, they gamble about, and that's something which is very important. But now let's get into the depth of the prepared speeches. And before that, let's call the joke master of the day, who will add some humor to the meeting and make sure that we start the meeting with a smile. So over to Toastmaster Rajiv.
Good evening. Most of you must have heard about the American civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. Once Martin Luther was giving his famous speech, "If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But at least keep moving. Keep moving." To this, his Punjabi Uber driver said, "ठीक है लूथरा साहब, दसो जाना किथे हैगा?" That was my joke.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rajiv, for that interesting humor added from the 20th century to the 21st century. That's a good combination. Now let's get to the prepared speeches. Just as you see in sports, where athletes prepare for months and give their performance, here also speakers come, they prepare for months and then finally perform. It's only 5 to 7 minutes, but it can take 5 to 6 weeks to even write those 2 pages of speech and then perform in front of, well, 17 here, it could be 17,000 people one day. So let's welcome our first speaker, Toastmaster Sunil. But before that, let's welcome his speech evaluator, Toastmaster Rajiv, to talk about his speech objectives. Toastmaster Rajiv. The speech objectives for Toastmaster Sunil.
Toastmaster Sunil is giving his first speech, that is the icebreaker. This is the first speech in his journey towards the Toastmaster, and we believe that this is the first and best step he has taken. So what I'll be noting down in this speech is how he has started his speech, how he uses his voice, and also what are the purposes, what is his purpose of his life, where he wants to go. That will be my thing which I'll be noting down during the evaluation, and I request everybody to stand up and give him a standing ovation when he finishes his speech. Thank you. We'll look all the best, Sunil.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rajiv. So let's welcome Toastmaster Sunil on the stage. Toastmaster Sunil, pivots of life without blockbusters. Pivots of life without blockbusters. Toastmaster Sunil.
Thank you, Aditya, Rajiv, and everyone. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this exciting group. I'm Sunil Thakur. I'm a 44-year-old private equity professional settled in Delhi with my wife and my 10-year-old daughter. I recently thought to pick up a few hobbies, and one of them had to be joining Toastmaster to improve my communication and presentation skills. But apart from that, I took up cycling, have taken up golfing, and that too in a country of cricket enthusiasts. But talking about cricket, something that Aditya mentioned, if cricket had to be my destiny, I would have been Ravi Shastri. For those of you who do not know about his career, Ravi Shastri started out as a mediocre spinner in the Indian team back in early 80s. And in a long-lasting career, ended up becoming India's opening batsman, and then went on to become a commentator and a successful coach. The comparison is not to talk about and compare my success with his success or vice versa. It's about the pivot of life, of how he pivoted his life to create many opportunities, take advantage of it, and end up in a very different role, successful role, without creating a blockbuster. I was born in the year 1977 in a small village in Bihar, and had a very normal upbringing up until the age of 2. At that age, I moved to a small town called Dhanbad. It was the coal belt of India, to join my father, who was moving upwards and onwards in his entrepreneurial journey. Again, a very normal childhood, but very cherished memories of sibling fightings, father's thrashings, scholarly triumphs that I had. But again, all of this without blockbusters. At the age of 7, life took a big turn for me, and it started out as an independent phase in my life, something that continues even till now. My brother and I were packed off to a boarding school in Dehradun. Very exciting and enthralling world. The first encounter of excitement was the first sight of television, and then further on, the excitement of participating in numerous sporting activities, participating in all kinds of sporting activities, all kinds of extracurricular activities, no parental control. That brought a lot of thrill in my life. So boarding school became the highlight of my life. While there were not too many big blockbusters, life kept pivoting. Scored well in studies, was a good sportsman. Those 9 years of my life are the ones that I cherish the most. When I turned 16, I moved to Delhi, enrolled in a senior secondary school, but more importantly, in the world of adolescence. The very first sight of encountering girls, that was my first experience, sent me into a shell. But funnily enough, even though I was in a shell, the romance in me took over me and pushed me to woo the love of my life and my future partner. That's my wife, Sonia. My studies and path to career making kept chugging along. I kept nudging ball to keep some scores going, but again, there were no blockbusters in my life. Never pushed myself behind those IITIM aspirants. I had a very unconventional approach to career making. While my peers were going behind the curriculum, I was busy sifting through newspapers, journals, and books of higher grades. And that is what helped me get my first job right after I graduated from Delhi School of Economics at the age of 23. That also gave me the license to achieve something which I believed at that point of time was unachievable, to marry my girlfriend, who's my wife. That happened at the age of 25. Further on, the zeal to learn and perform and my luck with rewards kept my career moving. But more importantly, it pivoted in a much different way from the time I started my career to where I am. I started out as a treasury guy, then pivoted towards M&A advisory, then specialized in healthcare M&A. And today I'm a healthcare private equity investor. Along the way, saw many great opportunities, met many great personalities, visited most of the international cities, and more importantly, spent about 3 years in an exciting city called country called Singapore. This endless pursuit of making a good career and some money kept me blinded from some important parts of my life. I now feel the need to look back on what I may have lost and try and make up for it. So now I've taken up these hobbies. I play, I read, try out new things in life, and more importantly, spend some more time with my family. Most importantly, my 10-year-old daughter, who came into my life when I turned 34. At 44, as I grow old, my conscious effort is to work, to minimize my negative traits, which are many, and amplify the positives, one which seemingly are very, very limited. Although too difficult to achieve, I keep pushing myself to remain composed, speak softly, give more, expect less, get away from jealousy. On the professional front, I live up with the hope and goal of concluding my professional journey as soon as I achieve my own success criteria of delivering few successful funds, but at the same time creating more impact in the society. However, the quest of learning will never end. Leave aside regrets. I feel blessed to have had this journey from a village life to an international platform that has given me the ability to connect with people of different status and stature, and more importantly, appreciate the progress that can be achieved, even though it may not be a blockbuster. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmasters. Now let's give a standing ovation or a sitting ovation to the speaker so that they can be encouraged. And this is what we call a blockbuster opening speech. It's always an opening, and when the opening is so strong, then you're looking forward to the next speakers. And before we go further, you can provide 30 seconds of evaluation through private chat to the speaker, and timer let us know when 30 seconds are up. Show the red card. Then can we have the next speaker ready, Toastmaster Utkarsh? Can we have an audio video check with you?
I'm audible.
Yes. And can everyone see the speaker? Is it visible to all the members? Thank you, Toastmaster Utkarsh. Toastmaster Varsha, are we done with 30 seconds?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we are close to it.
So you can provide feedback. So.
Okay. We are done.
Okay. So let's get ready with the second speaker. Our second speaker is Toastmaster Utkarsh. And let's call this speech evaluator, Toastmaster Jatin, to talk about the speech objectives. So Toastmaster Jatin, can you elucidate on this, on Toastmaster Utkarsh's speech objectives?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Aditya. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So Toastmaster Utkarsh is delivering his project tool from Innovative Planning, Level 1, and the speech title is Metaverse. So good luck, Toastmaster Utkarsh. Back to Toastmaster Aditya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jatin. So Toastmaster Utkarsh, Metaverse, Toastmaster Utkarsh, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya. You are doing a wonderful job. I'm having a great experience. Now imagine you put on your augmented reality or virtual reality glasses and you are immediately transported into your home space. There are physical objects and also virtual objects available from your home. You have a beautiful view of anything that you find beautiful. That is Metaverse. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Metaverse is a combination of amazing technologies such as augmented reality, virtual reality, video, and 3D holographic avatars. It provides a hyper-realistic alternative reality to you, where you can exist in the virtual world. Before we understand about the Metaverse, I would like to ask the audience, what is your dream destination? Where do you like to visit?
Japan.
Italy. Okay, Arushi wants to visit Italy. Anybody else?
KFC.
KFC, yes. Right. So imagine that you put on your AR or VR glasses and you're directly transported to Italy or any destination that you want. Now let's try to understand what is Metaverse. Recently, Mark Zuckerberg, in his keynote speech, introduced and coined the word Metaverse. It has a feeling of presence, that you're virtually available over there. You can interact with other people and exist in the virtual world. We're having the feeling of the presence. You're going to have a 3D avatar of you, just like today we have profile pictures on WhatsApp and on Instagram. You're going to have a 3D hologram of you, which would be your identity. You're going to enter into your home space instantly and jump into different concerts with your best friends with just a hologram. You're going to teleport to different places. You're going to buy and sell virtual goods. And the most interesting, the screens will just be holograms. You're going to see a TV and it won't be 2D flat screens. It will be screens, not screens, just holograms, a $1 or $2 hologram. Isn't that wild? Now, moving on, let's try to understand what are the practical scenarios that will be available in the metaverse. The very obvious thing that comes to our mind is home, as we discussed. We can enter into a home, into a virtual world where we can invite our guests to hang out, play games, jump into apps, and just have a chill time with them, party with them. Also, as we all know, in the previous 2 years, most of the offices have gone remote. Just imagine putting your AR glasses and you're directly transported into your office setup with all your tools and computers and having the physical presence and being able to communicate with your fellow members while wearing your favorite sweatpants. The gaming industry, which is the biggest industry in the entertainment, is gaming, and it is going to completely revolutionize the experience of the gamers. Try to understand the fitness industry. You're just going to have a hologram of your fitness trainer right in your living room, and he's going to help you achieve your fitness goals. So all of this would be happening in the metaverse, and there will be a budding metaverse economy. There will be new opportunities for content creators and developers to actually build the metaverse. You're going to have a full marketplace of goods and services and transactions that are happening in the metaverse economy. That will be the building blocks of the ecosystem. Now, before moving on, I would like to ask the audience members, what do you know about NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens? Anybody can answer from the audience. Yes, Jatin.
Yeah, so like NFTs, like as you already explained, it's a non-fungible tokens, and I don't know that much, but what I know is there are many people, especially from design backgrounds, they are selling their artworks or amazing and in the form of cryptocurrencies, and what they can earn from that. So that's a bit I know about NFT. So
that's right.
It's kind of a very trendy and kind of a future market for in the coming days.
That's exactly right, Jatin. So it is non-fungible tokens are virtual goods that are available in the virtual marketplace that you can buy and sell. Think of a blue tick on Instagram. Why do we value such a blue tick? That is why we're going to buy the weapons in our favorite games, Call of Duties. We are going to buy $1, $2 NFTs. That is what NFT is all about. And what we are going to buy with? We're going to buy with not US dollars, not INR, but cryptocurrencies. And it's going to completely change the game of the industry. Now, you must be thinking, the technologies are not available as of yet. We don't have any technologies. As of right now, billions of dollars are being invested into different technologies such as audio, visual, perception reality, haptics, eye movement, hand gestures, and also the EMG output. It will translate our signals from the human muscles into digital command that we can use to interact using the digital avatars with us into the virtual world. To conclude, you must be thinking this is all science fiction. It is sounding like science fiction. We have seen a lot of movies. We have seen Matrix Reloaded, where he puts on his glasses and he is directly transported into another world. That is going to come into reality and become mainstream in the next 10 years. First, when I heard about the metaverse, it sounded a new opportunity for me. Earlier, when somebody used to ask me, where do you see yourself in 20 years? I didn't have any answers. But now I have a brief answer that I like to see myself somewhere in the metaverse contributing to the metaverse economy with different fields such as litigation, taxation, transfer pricing, leadership roles, and other positions. Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, and other companies are are putting a lot of money into these ecosystems. And Metaverse is going to be the next chapter of the internet. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Aditya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Utkarsh. That was certainly a gamble about how we can get into the metaverse. And as Utkarsh said, it reminded me of Star Trek and Star Wars because 40 years ago they had already imagined such things in the fictional world. And now here we are imagining a metaverse in the next decade. So before we go further, please give your evaluation to the speaker. You have 30 seconds and be robust about the evaluation and give it a whirl. Even if you are nervous, just give your evaluations a whirl. You may improve as you go further. Let us know when 30 seconds are up. In that time, can we have the final speaker, Toastmaster Samir? Are you ready? Can we have an audio video check for you?
Yes, Toastmaster Aditya, can you confirm if my audio and video is visible?
You are visible and the posture is correct. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Varsha. So our final speaker is Toastmaster Samir. But before we get to know about Toastmaster Samir and his speech, let's get to know the objectives. So I would like to call Toastmaster Mayank to elucidate on the objectives of Toastmaster Samir.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya. Good evening, everyone. Toastmaster Samir would be delivering his project, Create a Podcast. The purpose of this speech is for the member to introduce his podcast and to present a segment of the podcast to the audience. I'll be delivering my evaluation at the end of during the evaluation segment when called upon by the G. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mayank. And so let's know about Toastmaster Samir's speech titled Toastmaster Samir, Something Strange About It. Something strange about it, Toastmaster Samir. Over to the speaker.
Good evening, everyone. I am Toastmaster Samir. Well, the best thing about Toastmasters is it really gives you the option of exploring all possible means of audio and visual presentation. What I have today in store for you is my first attempt at a podcast. Now, you may wonder, why is podcast gaining so much of importance right now? Because with the virtual, everything turning into virtual now, there is more and more stress towards mediums which can transfer knowledge and information through virtual systems. And podcast is now turning into one of the big means of transferring knowledge and information. Just to quote some numbers, in United States right now, between the age of 18 and 35, 60% of the people do listen to a podcast. That means this is very quickly turning into one of the mainstream means of sharing information. So what we'll do is we will hear a glimpse of my first attempt at podcast today. And let me go ahead and just share that with you. I would request the TMOD to please confirm if the audio is visible and can you hear and see it?
Well, I think you haven't started.
Mm-hmm.
We can see it.
Okay, I'll just play about 5 seconds. So let me know if you can hear it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, my first attempt at the podcast. So let's go ahead. Good evening, everyone, my dear friends here at Toastmasters. I am Toastmaster Samir, and I welcome all of you to my first ever podcast. I've always been fascinated by how a figment of my imagination or your imagination of a story in your head can create the same visuals in someone else's head by just hearing the story. Well, today I have a selection of a few stories which are just 2 to 3 minutes long, but convey a lot more. Do note, these stories are not for our faint-hearted friends. Well, what better way to enjoy your Saturday evening other than listening to some spooky stories? Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself for this roller coaster ride with your host for the podcast today, Toastmaster Sameer. I took a late night shower last night, and when I got out, I saw my reflection in the mirror, smiling at me. Except, I wasn't smiling. Mummy, come play with us. The boy and the only child begged his mother, rolling a ball towards the dark corner of his room. His mother watched as it rolled back to them. As usual, I walked through the graveyard to visit my grandmother's grave. But as I squatted down to place flowers near her, I saw a tombstone next to hers that read, "My name." My daughter asked me to check her closet for anything scary, so of course I humored her and looked. Inside was my daughter, curled up into a ball, crying, and said, "Mama, there's something in my room." A mother called out to her daughter from another room. She began to search for her mother's voice, only to be hastily pulled into a closet, where her mother whispered, "I heard it too." There's a girl standing outside my window. The only problem is, I live on the 7th floor. Yesterday I wrote the number 69 on my wrist as a joke. Today it reads 68. And now it is not washing off. My 4-year-old said he wished that people did not have to knock. I told him about doorbells, and he asked me, "Papa, could you install a doorbell on our window as well?" We smiled proudly as our daughter went on her bus for her first day of school. Our hearts dropped when the real bus arrived 2 minutes later. My brother and I used to knock on the walls at night because our rooms were next to each other. After I came back from the funeral, I still heard the knocking. I decided to kill a few characters in the book I am writing. It would definitely spice up my autobiography a little. There was a picture in my phone of me sleeping. But I live alone. I can't sleep, she whispered, crawling into bed with me. I woke up cold, clutching the dress she was buried in. I was video chatting with my wife and I dropped my phone on the floor. As I picked it up, my wife's face changed. She held her hands to her lips as if she was saying, "Be quiet." And to my horror, she wrote, "There's someone under your bed." Well, my dear friends, that'll be all for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful roller coaster ride of this amazing world of podcast. This is your host Samir signing off for today until we meet again. Thank you so much. You all have a wonderful evening. And with that, I will hand it over back to the TMOD. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Samir, and for certainly giving the world of talk shows and podcasts a whirl. So, an excellent attempt, and the rest will be all right. So, you have 30 seconds to give your evaluations, and those who are still wondering what to say, just give it a whirl and you will gamble about it later on. So, give it a whirl as far as your evaluations are concerned. You have 30 seconds. Please go ahead.
Timer, is everyone qualified for voting?
Yes.
Except the icebreaker speech, everybody is.
All right, just give me. I'm launching the.
Yeah, so please vote for the best speaker. All right, thank you, Varsha. Mayank, can we launch the polls?
Just give me one.
Yeah, no issues. Okay, so please vote between Toastmaster Utkarsh and Toastmaster Samir. Mayank, let us know if maximum has been achieved.
Yes, we can move forward.
All right, so that's all from the first half of the meeting. Now we have the impromptu speaking section, which will be headed by Toastmaster Ojasya, and the guests who are in the meeting and members. Once again, improvisation is an important part of sports, and also improvisation is an important part of public speaking. Those who have heard wrestlers in professional wrestling, they also have the gift of the gab, and sometimes even that is improvised and on the spot. So learn and develop your improvised learning through. Yeah, before that, before we go into the improvised table topic section, we also have an important announcement from our election chair, Toastmaster Abu, who will be talking about the upcoming election. In fact, they are next week. So let's listen to the important announcement by Toastmaster Abu.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Wow, what a speech journey it has been, from Sunil's introduction. Then we had Utkarsh going into the future. And in the past and the future, we definitely have the present of Samir's speech. Wow, what a time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. It's an honor to be the election officer, and I personally welcome all of you for the 27th of November. That's going to be a very special day, because that's the day when we will have new set of leaders. Why this election is very important for me is, I'm sure that's applicable for most of us. It's very easy to crib, very easy. More or less, we all are champions at it. But the most difficult thing is to go and bring that change. One of the things that comes to our mind, or personally for me, was when I had to nominate myself for the post of president, is I am not up to the mark. Now, I cannot do it. I am not cut out for it. And then you have a lot of things. But the first fear will always be that I think I cannot do justice. I still remember Toastmaster Mayank, Toastmaster Amir, and Toastmaster Nayan talking to me. And one thing, they made it clear that you don't choose a rule, the role chooses you. And the moment the role chooses you, you will do an awesome job. Please have that, you just go for it, and you'll be surprised how awesome you become. I joined Toastmasters with the sole objective of winning the world championship. That was my sole objective. I never wanted to take part into the leadership position, because I am always into an IC role, individual contributor role. Why do I need any kind of leadership? Only to realize how important leadership is. Another very important thing that you will get to understand is how to work with amazing people who come with the same interest. Okay, so please go ahead, nominate yourself. Most of you are giving your nominations, and that's an amazing thing. Trust me, the moment you take the position or you give the nomination, the most important thing is you are not alone. Okay, always remember, we have a team, and you have the club to support you. You just have to go at the front, give your name, and see how everything unfolds. And you will definitely do an awesome job. Okay, the success of the current EC is how successful the upcoming EC becomes. Now, we also understand that there is a possibility that we are going to go offline, and it will be a wonderful time, coming back to what we had always been, offline club. It will be such a nice example. Okay, so last but not the least, can you all give me a thumbs up who all are looking forward to go ahead and give their names? Thank you, Aditya. I've got one thumbs up. I've got one thumbs up. I'm waiting for some more thumbs up. Okay, I think you guys are giving a lot of thumbs up. Thank you, Bharat. Thank you, Pandi. Wow. Thank you, Mayank. Okay, awesome, 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 awesome. Just give it a shot, people. You will do an awesome job. Okay, so that will be all from my end. I give it back to the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abu, for that compelling speech. And so once again, give it a whirl as far as the EC elections are concerned. And now let's get into the impromptu section, which is an important part of being a sports person and being a public speaker. So I encourage whoever is in the meeting, if possible, do participate. Now let's give the stage to our table topic master, Toastmaster Ojasya, who will compel us with interesting topics, and maybe we'll gamble about it later on. So over to our table topic master, Toastmaster Ojasya. Well, we already have a name. All right, over to Ojasya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya. Hello, everyone. I am the table topic master for today's meeting. Table topics is an impromptu section where members and guests both can participate. The time limit is 1 minute to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, a green card will be shown. At 1 minute 30 seconds, yellow card will be shown. At 2 minutes, red card will be shown. There will be a grace period of 30 seconds on the upper side. So now moving on to our table topic section. Today's table topic, I have divided into 2 sections. So let me share my screen for that. So these are 2 sections, abstract and questions. So the first section, which is abstract, in this abstract section, majorly topics are from the quotes said by famous leaders, famous champions, which generally inspire us to be our best. The second section, which is the questions. In this section, the questions are related to your ideas and experiences, which you must have experienced in your life. And also these questions are related to the theme of today's meeting. So let's start with our section, table topics. So I would request you all to please vote for yourself for table topics. So firstly, we have Mayank. Hi, Mayank.
Hi, Ujasya.
So Mayank, you have to choose the section and the number from that section.
I'll choose question 6.
Question 6 from abstract. Okay.
No, question 6 from questions.
Okay.
Number 6 from questions.
So the topic is, what is your biggest motivation?
Okay. So good evening, everyone. Once again, the biggest motivation for me, I think it was very different throughout the years. I think in the initial years of my life, when I thought that what should be the biggest motivation for me, I think it was always seeing successful people and seeing how much they've achieved in their life and what should I do to achieve that for myself. But later, when you get more clarity on your life, I think the biggest motivation for you is always yourself. If you're not happy or content with the things you have, no matter how much money, fame, or recognition you achieve, you can never be happy with that. So the biggest motivation is that whether at the end of the day you are happy, you are content with whatever you are having in your life, and what should you do more to become more happy. And the biggest example for me was around 4 years back when I made the decision to join Toastmasters. I always felt that there was something lacking in my communication skills, and I wanted to become better public speaker. So I called up someone, the person in the orange shirt, and he said, yes, please come over. It was a very cold January evening, and I went in and he just started shaking hands. This was obviously pre-COVID, where shaking hands was a norm. And then when I went in on January 28th, 2018, I think that was the day that motivated me to become a better public speaker. So, and it is not even complete. Like, I don't even consider that I've achieved less than 1% of what I want to be. But I'm continuing on this journey to become a better public speaker with each meeting. Over to you, Ujasya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mayank. And I think most of us think that the person in orange t-shirt is the reason that we are here in Toastmasters. So thank you, Toastmaster Abu. So now moving on to our table topic section. So let's see who all have voted for themselves. I request you all to please nominate yourself for table topic section and give it a whirl. Or otherwise, I will be choosing one of you. Yes, so we have got a second speaker, Toastmaster Sunil. Hi, Toastmaster Sunil.
Hi, Ujasya.
So Toastmaster Sunil, you have to choose a topic and a section, a number and a section.
I'll go for question 3.
Okay. So your topic is, what will you change in this world if you have been given a superpower? Over to you, Toastmaster Sunil.
Yeah, so the most important thing that I will change if I'm given the superpower is the inequality in society. It's something that is staring at us each day when we see the contrasting life between the haves and have not. And most people, especially the ones who are going about leading the life with a very parochial objective of earning money and doing good for themselves, they are not able to see this this big gap staring at them and staring at the society, and that could at some stage create a social upheaval. And that's precisely the reason, if we have to have a good society and a balanced society, I believe that the social inequality needs to go away. There are various ways in which we can do this. The haves will have to contribute, and that could be contributed either on a voluntary basis or involuntary, which we call as a government regulatory. You get to pay more taxes and you're forced to pay more taxes. So at some stage, all of us need to come together to make that choice between voluntary or involuntary, or a combination of both. But if we don't provide for this malice in society, it is going to create a big issue for all of us. And therefore, once I have the superpower, I'll try and create a society where the inequality is limited. As we all know, we cannot wish it away. But to whatever extent one can minimize, through whichever way one can minimize without a lot of friction, is what I will try and achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sunil. I totally agree that in this capitalistic society, it is very important to reduce the gap of haves and the have-nots. Thank you. Now, moving on to our next speaker, we have Toastmaster Bharat. Hi, Toastmaster Bharat.
Hey, it is here.
So please choose a section and number.
Yeah, I'll go with question 1.
Question 1, okay. Who is a role model and why? Toastmaster Bharat, who is a role model and why?
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya. That's a very interesting question, to be honest with you. I'm actually preparing for my MBA interviews, and that's a question that comes up quite a lot. And I already have a prepared answer. And also I think I look up to him. Like Ratan Tata is my role model, and the reason behind it is because I've read about Tata family and J.R.D. Tata and what is how are they, what's the thought process behind how they think actually, and what are the reasons why Ratan Tata is so interested in giving away or getting the best out of people, doing being a philanthropist. Why is he doing so, and why is that he lives such a life, such a simple life, even though he all of us know that he's such a person with such huge amount of wealth. And I think his way of getting the best out of people, promoting the younger generation of our country, that's a thing that we all should look up to, and that's one of the reasons why he's my role model. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bharat. I think this is a very important question in MBA interviews, because I was also asked in an MBA interview, and my role model was Warren Buffett, and then I explained why is he my role model. So now moving on to our section. So our next speaker would be Toastmaster Deeptendu. Hi, Toastmaster Deeptendu.
Hi, Ojas. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
So you have to choose a section and a number.
So I will go for abstract section and the first one.
Okay. So the topic is: the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Over to you, Toastmaster Deeptendu.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, my fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. When I was a kid, my father taught me how to ride a bicycle. And as it would have been with most of you, there are supporting wheels when someone is teaching kids how to ride a bicycle. my bicycle also had the supporting wheels, and just to fasten my pace of learning, my father removed those wheels, and he supported me himself, and he used to leave me. I never realized when my father left me. And in the process of teaching, in the process of learning, many a times I used to fall. Many a times I used to fall. I used to scrape my knees. I used to scrape my elbows. And it used to hurt me a lot. I used to cry. And that discouraged me from sitting on a bicycle. I became reluctant in sitting, attempting to sit on a bicycle. Eventually, I learned how to ride a bicycle, but the same story got repeated when I was trying to learn how to ride a two-wheeler, because I had an accident on a scooter while I was trying to learn. And to this day, I cannot ride a two-wheeler. But by the time I was started learning two-wheeler, there was one more thing that I was doing, which was exercise, specifically yoga. And more specifically, I was doing Surya Namaskars. I enjoyed using Surya Namaskars a lot. They say that you can do it in rounds of 12 or 24. People who really want to push themselves go for 108 Surya Namaskars to make it a very holistic exercise. I used to enjoy doing Surya Namaskars. Many a times my body used to get sore. But the next morning I used to get up with the same vigor and zeal. I used to do Surya Namaskars. And then, as luck would have it, I read a very good quote. You know what Surya Namaskar teaches us? It teaches us to fall down and get back up. Fall down and get back up, fall down and get back up. Doing that 12 times a day, 24 times a day, 72 times a day, 108 times a day. That taught me, hey, I am falling down and getting back up. It doesn't take much. All it takes is a little bit of motivation, a little bit of push that I have to give myself the next day when I feel sore. And as luck would have it, at the age of 24, I finally sat on the bicycle again. And I learned, this time I learned, of course, the age was at my side. I didn't get that scared. But this time I knew that if I fall, I'll get back up. I'll apply Volini or some sort of ointment, but I will learn. So the magic is in falling and getting back up. I encourage you all to do the same. Thank you so much.
Wow, Toastmaster Deepthendu, it was a wonderful speech. And I totally believe that persistence and dedication is the reason we get success. Now, moving on to our section. Our next speaker would be Toastmaster Aditya. Hi, Toastmaster Aditya.
Just abstract number 2.
Okay. It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. Toastmaster Aditya.
Thank you, Toastmaster. I'm wondering what compelled Aristotle to come up with this quote, because we often have this thing that we have to look at the darkness and the negative side to look at the positive side. Why don't we just ignore if there's something negative happening, we can just shut it out. As I said, sometimes you will have noise, you just have to shut it out. You don't need to see the light at the end of the tunnel, you just have to see the light. If it's dark, close your eyes, you'll see the light. You don't have to go through negative experiences, or sometimes negative experiences, you can just keep it a secret. You don't have to tell that, okay, I went through an experience, because even I can narrate. In 2014, when I was in Noida Film City, I was doing an internship for the Radio Noida. And the in charge of that station said, this is something I never told anyone, because I didn't see the logic of telling anyone after 7 years, but just an example that you don't have a good voice and you will never be an anchor or something like that. And I was annoyed. And I really wanted to use my fists on that person, but I thought, no, why get into controversies? And then 7 years later, here I am in Toastmasters with a good, and also with my own podcast, and also anchoring various talk shows outside my podcast. So if I ever meet him again, I'll say what you told me 7 years ago. It didn't make me angry, or like what we do when somebody is tell you negative thing, your only view is to prove that person wrong. No, this happened by chance. When I first started my podcast or doing anchoring, I forgot what he said. I didn't even know that he said that. It just evaporated like rain, like the water on the road. The floods evaporate after a day. They just go into the seepage, the sewers. That happened. It evaporated. But since I don't see the logic of looking at darkness just to see the light. I see the logic of not even bothering about darkness, because if you think about darkness, there'll be no light. Back to the table topic master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya. It was a great speech, and you surely have passed through a dark tunnel and have seen the light. Thank you. So now we are done with table topics. As Toastmaster Varsha has said that we have exceeded the time limit. So now I would hand over the stage to table topic to Toastmaster Abu.
Timer, is everyone qualified for table topics?
Yes, everybody is.
Okay, so just confirming Mayank, Sunil, Bharat, Diptendu, and Toastmaster Aditya.
Yes.
All right, we can move forward.
So now we would like to move on to our third section, which is evaluation. I would like to hand over the stage to Toastmaster Abu, the general evaluator.
Thank you so much, Ojasya. As always, you come up with something new, and I have to remember after the meeting, I have to get this particular concept from you. So that's a great thing, Ojasya. Thank you so much. Now we have the evaluation contest, or rather evaluation. And I have Toastmaster Rajiv, the veteran of South Delhi Toastmaster, who is going to share his evaluation for Toastmaster Sunil. May I request Toastmaster Rajiv to go ahead and rock the virtual stage?
Yeah. Good evening once again. Today I had a chance to hear a speech of Toastmaster Sunil Thakur. Wow, what a wonderful speech. It's a very interesting presentation of his journey from sleepy town of Bihar to Dhanbad to Dehradun, Delhi, and further, much ahead. I was very impressed with his style of presentation, and most important, the way that he knew where he's going with life, which very few of us know about. The best part was his comparison. He told me about his family, about his parents, wife, children, and the one of his most favorite idol, that is Ravi Shastri. What I was impressed upon with his use of words, idioms, phrases, they kept me glued totally to his speech. For a moment, I regretted that I was evaluator of his speech. I should have been enjoying his speech. And that's something negative being an evaluator. That you have to focus on what is objective and what is the thing instead of enjoying it. Over the years, I have done many evaluations of icebreakers, and I can say with surety that this was one of the best icebreakers that I have had ever heard, which I have ever evaluated. At the end, I would say that if I was a Gabbar Singh of Sholay, I would have threatened Sunil by saying, "Ye speech mujhe de de Thakur," or over to general evaluator.
Thank you so much, Rajiv sir. That was amazing. Now we have our second evaluator. The second evaluator will be Jatin for Speaker Utkarsh. Jatin, the virtual stage is all yours. We wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you so much, Abu. And okay, so here's a question. Have you all seen, okay, how many of you are a fan of Marvel movies or Marvel Cinematic Universe? Just raise your hand. Okay, cool. I can see only Abu's hand, but I'll assume like everybody is a Marvel fan. So when I heard the word Metaverse, I was like directly jumped onto Marvel Cinematic Universe because I'm as a huge Marvel fan. There are so many different worlds, different worlds which are connected together. And just like that, my dear friends, Toastmaster Utkarsh piece was a kind of a multi-cinematic universe directed by Utkarsh brothers. So he started with a very like imaginative story to build to grab the audience attention, and or like I also regret that I was a evaluator. I was enjoying that because it has so many things. It has multiverse, it has Metaverse, from Facebook, NFT, and whatnot. The content was so amazing. Coming to the good part of the speech, the speaker was comfortable. It was a good presentation with a great camera angle. Um, Talking about the what was good in the speech, the vocal clarity, eye contact, audience awareness, and on the top of that, well-researched speech, which was the objective of the speech, to do some research and then present on it. Now, coming to the part where how we can improve and take it to the next level. The first thing is Toastmaster Utkarsh. I feel that the speech was all flat. Although you had a great content, there was so many things, but I felt that speech was very flat. See, it happens. Anything which becomes how do I say make a mark or become effective, the way how you deliver it. So I would suggest before delivering your speech, rehearse it as many times as you can, because then you will got to know how you can make it remarkable or how you can deliver it better. The next thing is I could see repeated hand gestures. So it is already connected with first point is as you will rehearse your speech, you will got to know how you can use your hand gestures to make it more impactful. The third thing is, the third thing I already covered. The third thing is that rehearse your speech as many times, and it will include all your things. And by doing that, you won't need to carry a card. So our end goal is to give a speech without a card, or when we are preparing for evaluation or at international speech contest. So these are things. At the end, I'm feeling like I have a situation that have you seen a kid who is offered a box of sweet with so many different sweets, and he was confused what to take. Just like that, I am that bloody kid who is confused what to take from that speech. There are so many takeaways. There's just one thing what I can suggest you that from my side, if you want to grow or create new opportunities for yourself, you must aware of your surroundings, what's happening around you, and doesn't matter if it's related to your profession or not. Who knows? One day it can open so many doors for you. That was it from my side. Back to general evaluation.
Thank you so much, Jatin. That was a great analogy that you shared towards the end. Now, can I request Toastmaster Mayank to evaluate Toastmaster Samir? Toastmaster Mayank, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abu. Who knew podcasts can become so interesting? In the age of Netflix and short attention span, today the speaker made us listen and listen with 100% attention. So here are my commendation for his podcast and his introduction. This podcast had an element of surprise and suspense. Suspense by tingling our ears with eerie sounds. That made me want it for more. And I can still feel or hear that sound throughout my brain. The second commendation for the speaker would be his effective use of pauses. The speaker effectively timed his pauses in such a manner to bring that element of spook and horror in every word he was saying. The final commendation for the speaker would be the speaker's attention to detail during the delivery of podcast. Throughout the podcast, I noticed that the sound was perfectly in sync what the speaker was saying on his podcast. So that made it more interesting. And when the speaker was adding that element of surprise, the sound also had that element of surprise. Now with the podcast that is so engaging, full of content, what the speaker can do to make it the #1 podcast on YouTube, the #1 horror podcast on YouTube. So I noticed in the initial beginning, the speaker said just to share data related to that. So maybe you rephrasing that sentence, because just to share data means that the speaker is just putting out the data. It has for an audience, as an audience, to me, it reduced the credibility of data, because I became disinterested because the speaker was just throwing that data. The second recommendation for the speaker would be his vocal variety. The speaker has a way with his word, but the speaker could have used this vocal variety to make it more engaging. The element of surprise and horror could have been made more spooky if the speaker would have used vocal variety to pitch in that element of surprise. And the final recommendation for the speaker would be the initial introduction to the podcast. I felt that the initial introduction to the podcast was totally not in sync with what was about to come. Maybe the speaker wanted to have an element of surprise, but the speaker should have built up to introducing the podcast. So here were my recommendation, but overall it was a very interesting podcast to hear for the first time. My commendation on that element of surprise, use of pauses and attention to detail by matching the voice and the sound of the podcast. Recommendation on rephrasing, usage of words, vocal variety, and building more in the initial introduction so that audience get to know what is about to come. So these were my evaluation back to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mayank. Now we have our auxiliary role player, a very important part of this meeting. So first, can I request the grammarian, that is Sandra, to share her report, please?
Can we have the voting, please?
My apologies. Varsha, has everybody qualified?
Yeah, everybody has.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Varsha. Mayank, can you please share the poll? People, please vote for the best evaluator.
Waiting for 5 more people to vote. I think we're left with 2 people more. Should we proceed, Toastmaster?
Yes, please, let's proceed.
So, Abu, can I continue?
Yes, thank you so much, Toastmaster Mayank. Sandra, can you please start?
Yeah. Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. First of all, very great job done, guys. And there was no improper use, which I couldn't found any improper use. And the word of the day was used by many of the members. Toastmaster Aditya, he used word of the day one time. Toastmaster Abu, he used idiom of the day one time. Then Toastmaster Aditya again used word of the day 2 times. Then idiom of the day and word of the day both. Then then idiom and word again. Then Ojasya, he used idiom one time. And there were some words people used I like the most. First was cherish, to protect or care for someone, which means to protect for to protect and care for someone. And Utkarsh used teleport, elucidate. Aditya used elucidate, which means to explain or to make something clear. So there is we can for improvement of the grammar, we can practice the speech more, rehearse the speech as Mayank said, and we can go for the we can use the word of the day and idiom of the day while preparation of the speech. So all was good. Over to Toastmaster Abu.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sandra. Now, may I request the R counter, that is Bharat, to share his report, please?
Hi, Abu. Thank you for the giving me the stage. Actually, I'll start with Darushi because she started the meeting. So she used once and twice, and then moving on to Aditya. So Aditya, he's a very I think he's a very smooth speaker, as well as he take his pauses very on the very right timing. But then also he ended up using twice and once only. Moving on to Sunil, I think Sunil can improve. Though this was his first speech, but he can improve because he used more than 20 plus times and 3 times. But still, it was a very interesting speech, to be honest with you. And then we had Utkarsh, who used the word 9 times and twice. And I noticed that Utkarsh uses the word gonna quite a lot. So I'll suggest Utkarsh to start using it maybe in quite less comparatively, because I think you use it more than 10 plus times in your speech. Sami's speech was like I can't even pick anything from his speech. He's an excellent speaker for sure, and so is Shadab. Then moving on to our grammarian, our first evaluator, Rajiv sir. He used thrice, and that was all. Then moving on to evaluator 2, Jatin. Jatin used the word more than 20 plus times, as well as 6 times. Then moving on to evaluator 3, Mayank. Mayank is a renowned speaker, as we all know, but he ended up using the word 11 times. And then the timer Varsha used the word 5 times. And moving on to our grammarian, Sandra, she used the word more than 15 times and once. I was not able to listen to listener Pandi yet. And in his first speech, he did not use any filler words. And moving on to Ajasya, I was not able to, you see how many times I have used, or I have used the crutch words or any breakup points. Going on to Jasya, you would use once and once. So yeah. And Deep Tendu, if I'm not butchering his name, your speech was actually onto the mark, and I literally loved your spirit. Thank you for sharing your story with us. That's all from my side, Abu. Over back to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Bharat. That was an amazing report. Now let's move to the listener, and then we'll have the timer. Listener, the virtual stage is all yours. Pandi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abu, the general evaluator. So listening is the basic foundation for language learning. The listening that starts with speaking, reading, and writing. We learn the language by imitating. Imitating is our first step of the learning our language. So herewith, I came with some questions to find out how we are attentive to the today's session. So my first question is, at what age Toastmaster Sunil moved to Delhi? At what age Toastmaster Sunil moved to Delhi?
Toastmaster Pandi, can I try?
Yes, I'm saying if somebody is coming, that's why I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Toastmaster
You
Pandi.
can. Yeah.
Pandi.
Yes, the Toastmaster Aditya. Yeah, you can
1693.
Yes. Yeah, it is 16. Yeah, 16. It's exactly correct. And my second question is, which college Toastmaster Sunil passed out his degree? Which college? Which college Toastmaster Sunil passed out his degree at age of 21 or 22? So which college?
Delhi School of Economics.
Yes, sir.
Delhi
School of Economics. Yeah. It's absolutely correct. Delhi School of Economics. And one more is what is the name of Toastmaster Sunil's soulmate? Name of Toastmaster Sunil's soulmate. No. Toastmaster Abu, you can answer. Toastmaster Abu.
Rajiv sir, it can be a very dangerous answer. Sonia?
Yes. Yeah.
Sir, please don't, sir. Rajiv sir, don't give those names, sir.
And,
I don't know.
It will be very difficult for Sunil. He's taking this from his home, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then Toastmaster Woodkers, he mentioned one industry which is the biggest industry in the country. Which industry he mentioned? Woodkers. Toastmaster Woodkers.
Gaming.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely correct. And in Toastmaster Samir's speech, he mentioned in USA which age group listen 60% of podcasting.
18 to 35.
Yeah, exactly right. So you all are very attentive to the today's listening. So my recommendation is the listening is the basic language skill. So everyone, we should spare some time to listen every day. Thank you, and over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Pandi. That was amazing. Last but not the least, may I request the timer, Toastmaster Varsha, to take the virtual stage. Toastmaster Varsha, the virtual stage is all yours.
Good evening, everybody. I would be sharing my screen to share my report. Please confirm if you can see my screen. Yes.
We are still waiting, Toastmaster Varsha. Now we can see the screen.
Yes. You can? Okay. So for today's meeting, we had a few additional sections, but I will go through the meeting as it went, as the flow went. Today we had our TMOD today just made it in time. He spoke for 4 minutes, 29 seconds. His second report is still yet to be figured. Can we, I haven't started my time, I'm sorry. Okay, we also had 3 speakers today. So TM Sunil had his icebreaker. I guess he sounded very excited and enthusiastic, so he went a little over time, but that is okay because his icebreaker was amazing. TM Utkarsh was well within time, speaking for 7 minutes and 19 seconds. Toastmaster Samir also well within time, was under 10 minutes and 56 seconds. Then we had the election briefing by our election secretary, Abu Shadab, and that was for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. For our evaluation section, our first evaluator was Toastmaster Rajiv. His evaluation went for 1 minute and 57 seconds. TM Jatin's evaluation was for 3 minutes and 24 seconds, and Toastmaster Mayank spoke for 3 minutes. After that, so as you can all see, all the evaluators are also qualified. For the auxiliary role players, we have the R counter who spoke for 3 minutes and 12 seconds, who is qualified. We had our grammarian who spoke for 1 minute and 45 seconds. We had our listener, TM Pandi, who is also qualified. I'll turn this green soon, who spoke for 2 minutes and 54 seconds. In the table topic, everyone was well within time. I think we didn't cross a few 2-minute mark today, but everybody spoke very well and very calmly, so I appreciate that. And nobody was disqualified. Our table topic master, Ojasya, also was well within time. So there is only one disqualification today, as we can see for now, unless I also get disqualified. But that is it for my report. Thank you for listening. That is all.
Thank you so much, Timer Varsha. Mayank, would you be kind enough to share the poll? People, please go ahead and vote for the best auxiliary role player. Thank you so much, Mayank. That will be all from the polling side. Great. Awesome. So now it's time for the GE's report. First and foremost, can I request, if it is okay with all of you, to switch on your video? Because when you switch on the video, there is this instant connection that happens. Okay, so thank you so much, people. Let me start with my report. The first person that I'm going to talk about will definitely be our Sergeant in Arms. It's always so nice to have Mayank back. I certainly understand there are a lot of personal commitment, but it's so nice to have you back, Mayank. You were back with a bang. You started with the golden rules and you handed over to the president. What could have been better was your rate of speech was a little too fast. And if you could have given a full-blown introduction to Toastmaster Arushi, that could have lifted our spirits to next level. Okay, the acting president was Toastmaster Arushi. Toastmaster Arushi is somebody who has this gift of the gab. What I really liked was the stories that she came up with. She was prepared. She spoke about one of my favorites as well, that is Simon Sinek, and how it is important and what were some relevant learnings that we all can have. That was amazing. What could have been better for Toastmaster Arushi is we had one or two guests. If these guests could have been introduced, that would have been amazing. And Toastmaster Aditya also deserved that, an awesome introduction. So if that could have been given to Toastmaster Aditya, that would have lifted his spirits as well. Now we come to Aditya, somebody who is known for his consistency. As always, he is somebody who is going to come with something interesting. And I really like how he goes ahead and gives that flavor of cricket to everything, because we know cricket is his first love. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Aditya, for coming up with such an amazing topic. What I also liked was that song that you played. So that was really nice. Now let's understand how we can make things better. Audience interaction could have been better. Okay, energy, we are the champions. So energy could have been a little better. And towards the end of the meeting, what I noticed was the volume decreased. Okay, so this is a technical glitch that happens at times. So if you can take care of it, Toastmaster Aditya. Okay, now let's move to our evaluators. Okay, Rajiv sir, one of the reasons why, one of the first people that I met, and Rajiv sir, we all know he's one of the founders of South Delhi Toastmaster. What I really liked is irrespective of his age, he is always there embracing the new change. I still remember when we started with online and how difficult it was for him, but he is such a person who does not give up, and you can see as a result of it he spoke so confidently. So great job on that, Rajiv sir. I also liked the way you went ahead and you mentioned this is something amazing to tell the speaker, that I once regretted why I'm the evaluator because I wanted to listen to it. That means a lot to the speaker. What could have been better is when it comes to that flower part, at times it was working as a distraction. So if you can get that thing removed. For eye contact, if you can look at the lens of your laptop or your mobile phone, that maintains the eye contact. And third, if you could share a suggestion. So one of the things that was evident with Toastmaster Sunil was he was reading. He is an amazing speaker. He can definitely ditch the reading material. Okay. Now, let's move to the second evaluator, Jatin. It's always very important to have an early, amazing start. What I really liked about Toastmaster Jatin was he had a super interesting or a super energetic start. What I also liked was the analogy that he shared. He spoke about the superheroes, and the final analogy that he gave was a box of chocolate, and as a kid, he doesn't know what to choose. So these are two my personal takeaways. What I would suggest him is when it comes to giving feedback, one of the things that he can certainly incorporate is to go ahead and be direct. Like, for instance, he was using notes. So if he could have spoken straight away stating that if you can ditch note. The second thing is to go ahead and give a summary. And the third thing is to share a takeaway from the speech. Okay. Now let's move to our third person, that is Toastmaster Mayank. Toastmaster Mayank, again, a very interesting way to start. I like the words that you use, surprise and suspense, and I like you shared the summary as well as their takeaway. What could have been better for Toastmaster Mayank was if the entire torso was visible. So that would have been amazing. Okay. Now let's come to our auxiliary role players who are such an important part of the meeting. Let's talk about Timer Varsha. Timer Varsha was doing this role for the first time. She was very accurate with all her notes. She was absolutely prepared. Now, whatever happens, The smile has to be there. I understand when it is a first time, it is so difficult, oh my God, I have to do so many things on top of that smile as well. But smile is that magical ingredient that gets everything sorted. So that is one of the things that I would suggest. And after you share your report, if you can share a quick tip, how can people be more time conscious? That would have been amazing. Okay. Now the second person that we have is Bharat. One thing that is so evident is he is enjoying his role. That is so evident. So Toastmaster Bharat, great job on that. Although this was your first time, it did not look as your first time because you were enjoying. Okay. I liked you made some great observation. And finally, if you like something, you have to say it. Toastmaster Dipendu gave an amazing table topics. You went ahead and you acknowledged his work. So great job on that, Toastmaster Bharat. Now, Toastmaster Bharat, when I see you, it's like a little Devanand kind of a pose wherein you are not facing directly to the camera. So it's like, as if you are about to run away. Okay. So if you can face directly to the camera, that would be amazing. Rather than using, I think, you can always use, in my opinion. That's always more confident. Okay. The first, you mentioned right at the beginning that Arushi started the meeting. It will be so unfair because Toastmaster Mayank started the meeting. Okay, so this is something that you could have taken care. Toastmaster Pandey, great job. First and foremost, great job when it comes to running this entire meeting. Great job on your listening skills. I would suggest for your eye contact, if you can look at once again the camera lens, that will be awesome to help you maintain the eye contact. Toastmaster Sandra, I have really enjoyed how you have grown, how confident you are. With every meeting, you only become better. So great job when it comes to confidence. Great job when it comes to usage. You were also in between sharing those messages for people as a reminder. What could have been better was you did not show your beautiful face. And your face holds a lot of value. So I would always request everyone to show their beautiful, handsome faces. And let's talk about Toastmaster Ojesya. Toastmaster Ojesya always comes up with something that is nice related to technology. I like the concept of abstract and questioning. I like how he was acknowledging every table topic speaker. I'm sure everybody observed that. What could have been better was right at the start. I'm sure he's coming back after some time. So he was a little hesitant. So even if you are a little hesitant, the trick is not to show that you are hesitant. Only you should continue. In the end, I had an amazing, amazing time. I will never forget the 3 speeches. Sunil's speech. I will not forget the speech that was given by Utkarsh, and definitely the podcast. So that's something, if you cannot forget these speeches and everything that has been done, that's an awesome thing. Now I hand it over back to the Toastmaster of the day, that is Toastmaster Aditya.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Abu, now this is a question for all the members in the room. I presume that you're all football fans and you watch every match, especially which go late at night. We are seeing the qualifiers happening. So if there's a qualifier happening today, you might be awake till 3 a.m. in the morning. That will be an interesting thing. But this is the question, which is the biggest football international championship beyond the Europe and the South America Cup? Apart, don't say Euro Cup and don't say South America Cup. There's a third championship which we often ignore. We often give it a, let's be clear, a third class treatment. So which is the third championship?
Copa America? La Liga?
Not South America is Copa America, so that will not work, and Euro Cup will not work.
La Liga?
No, I'm talking about the international championship, not the leagues. An international championship. I'll
World
give you who is the biggest Indian football star today?
Sunil Chhetri.
So if India is participating in the football championship, which is not a World Cup, what will be the name of that championship? What part of
Asia?
Yeah. Okay, you're coming to it, Abu. A little more.
The Indian Football Association.
If it took us so much time to know what our own Indian footballers participate in, then it's a little disheartening, because we know there's a Messi, there's a Ronaldo, there's a Mohamed Salah, but we don't know that even India takes part in a South Asian championship, and not only did they take part, they won it, but the way it happened. You see the newspapers, it gets a small section. It is as small as a window on your Zoom window. That's the treatment. So we need to go beyond that. We need to treat them as our own people. So that's the most important thing, and that's what they overcome adversity because we call them off. We don't even think that India is capable of winning the World Cup. I think India is capable of winning the World Cup, defeating teams like Portugal and Italy maybe in the next half a decade or more than that. And I think that's possible. And I am not going to call them off, and that's my thing. And that's the most important thing for today. So go ahead and do watch Indian footballers also participate, move beyond Messi, Ronaldo, and others. And that's all for now. Back to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Arushi.
Thank you for that concluding remark, Toastmaster Aditya. And I'm a proponent of this that, and of course, I did discuss this with our very fantastic Toastmaster Abu, herd mentality. Do not follow the herd. Travel the road less traveled. And right to emphasize on Toastmaster Aditya's point, do not only go for the popular brand names. There is more to life. There is more to life than what is marketed in front of you. So that was a champion move, Toastmaster Aditya. Thank you for leaving us on that note. Now that we're talking about a champion, which also happens to be the theme of the day, what, according to you, is a champion? Anyone. It could be anything.
A person who overcome his or her fears.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a very great way of putting it. Any adjectives that you think you would associate with the word champion?
I think, Arishi, I just want to add that I think the person who is satisfied or who is confident about that with the fact that he gives his 100%, no matter whether he lose the game or not. So if you think that you gave your 100%, if you are satisfied that you fight till the end of the game, so you are a champion. Doesn't matter whether you won the game or not.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whenever I thought of this, the word champion, you know, it used to bring back memories of that WWE, and it used to bring back the memories of you know, muscular men. And that was my way of interpreting. And it is so beautiful to see that Jatin gave me a different perspective, and Bharat gave a totally different perspective of what a champion is, right? And that is the beauty of perspective. One word and so many interpretations. So one thing that I read in a very good book about a dying professor, and one of the lessons that he wrote before he passed away due to cancer, he said that it is a lot of fun to enable your own childhood dreams. But when you help others to enable their dreams, that gives you fulfillment. And that is much greater than your own happiness. And of course, that can only happen once you experience it. Which again brings me to my favorite author and speaker, Simon Sinek. So he said that when you ask for help, you will not imagine the number of people that will come to help you. Till the time you don't ask, nobody would know that you actually need that help. But before asking for help, also remember that you have to start with helping others and only then ask for the help. So with that, I would like to leave you on that note of what a champion is for me. So that's it. And I would now like to ask if we have the certificates ready, Mayank. Oh, we have to first vote for the anchor, the favorite anchor for the day, who did a wonderful, great job according to all of you. So I would request each one present in the meeting to vote for your favorite role player today, your favorite anchor? Mayank, let me know whenever we have a good amount of response.
Yes, I'm generating the certificates.
All right. So till the time Mayank is generating the certificates, I want to ask everyone, what is your one takeaway from today's meeting? Utkarsh, okay, Abu, yes, we'll go with you first. Utkarsh, keep yours ready. I'm going to come to you next.
I would go with Toastmaster. I've got two Toastmasters Utkarsh theme. That was amazing. I'm going to definitely go ahead and research more about it. And certainly I'll start working on podcast. Kudos to Toastmaster Sameer.
I concur with you. I think the beautiful crafting of storytelling along with the audiovisual effect that Toastmaster Sameer created is something I'm taking as well from today's meeting. Beautiful concept. Coming to you, Utkarsh.
First of all, I will definitely follow Simon Sinek on Instagram. That is my first takeaway. And the second takeaway is yes, I also agree that rather helping ourselves, first we help another person, and in that helping other person, we are kind of helping ourselves only, because we are the source of that help. So we receive help just by giving help to others. That is, I think, the key takeaway from this.
Absolutely. Thanks for participating, Utkarsh. All right. Anybody else who? All right, Bharat, over to you.
So I'll just add to what Utkarsh said, and I think we should not be afraid to ask for help, and that's my take on whenever it comes to help, because people are afraid to even ask for it. Actually, I was, to be honest with you all, I was, but now I've started asking for help, and I don't think it's a bad thing, to be honest with you guys. Like it needs courage. One needs courage to even ask for help. Yeah, so that's my take from today's meeting.
Right. And thanks for pointing that out, because I know that you have incorporated that because we were talking about it at some point. So that's really great. All right. We also would like to know, Rajiv sir, your takeaway from today's meeting.
Yeah. Personally, I liked the way we had new speakers, Sunil, Diptendu, Varsha, and many others. The way they spoke, really, it was great. And I was amazed to see the talent. That we just see this Toastmasters SDTM is going to become very rich in this thing, and with their experience. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the content of today's meeting was very rich.
Yeah.
From the anchors to the role players to the speakers, everything
Yeah.
was spot on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rajiv sir, for pointing that out.
Yeah.
All right, Mayank, can we now present the certificates?
Yes.
Best auxiliary role player, of course, the very meticulous Toastmaster Varsha. Congratulations. Best table topic speaker, Toastmaster Diptendu. Many congratulations. Whenever he comes to our club, he makes sure that he wins the table topic section. All right. Best speech evaluator, back with the bang, Toastmaster Mayank. Of course, very rightfully deserved. Best speaker goes to Toastmaster Sameer, of course, for his great presentation skills, introducing us to something completely new. Fabulous job. Best anchor goes to Toastmaster Abu for the enthusiasm, energy that he brings. And of course, he is the champion. He won the table topics contest and the speech evaluation contest at the area level. True champion. All right. Now we will take a picture
And I would request Toastmaster Mayank, who's come back after a very long time, to give us the signature pose for today.
I think the signature poses should be our smiles today.
Our smiles. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right, I'll take the screenshot then. Everybody smile ear to ear, your biggest and best smile. 1, 2, go. Got it, captured it. All right, thank you everybody